The Times Washington editor Katy Balls joins me now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Katy, you recently met Charlie Kirk. For those listeners who have not come across him, don't know who he is, what was his place in American politics? What was he like?
Yeah, so I met Charlie Kirk about a month and a half ago, after a few months in the States. And in that time, it became clear to me what an influential figure he was, in terms of American politics, in terms of the Trump administration. And yes, not a household name in the UK, but certainly within the movements of MAGA, Make America Great Again. This is someone who is held responsible for really building the youth movement in terms of figures on the right, the youth who have moved towards Trump in recent years, and also someone who had very strong links to the administration. So he knew Donald Trump very well. He was very good friends with Donald Trump Jr. And therefore, there was both a personal relationship with the White House, but also a relationship whereby professionally he was seen as very important to the Republican movement in recent years.
And what is the latest? Because he was shot, obviously, during a rally that his own organization had set up. It was at the start of a tour, a speaking tour, where he specifically asked people to challenge his views. What is the latest that we know on the ground in Utah?
So, of course, we know that Charlie Kirk has sadly passed away. We also know that work is going on locating the suspect to this point at the time of speaking. Um, Now, of course, Charlie Kirk's whole career, really, he dropped out of higher education, but yet he made his career touring campuses. So it was fairly common for him to go and speak at campuses. In recent years, I think his notoriety, his following has been built significantly. Um, but he has done this many times. And therefore, I think there's a real state of shock in Washington, D.C. and beyond across America, that what was fairly routine for him. So going to these campuses, finding some liberal students and saying, hey, let's have a debate. Something that was recently parodied in South Park, for example, he was the subject of a South Park episode, has resulted in him being fatally shot.
And I mean, obviously, we're speaking in the early hours of the morning. At the moment, there is no suspect, but there have been a number of arrests and then releases of people.
Yes, and it's a slightly confusing situation. So, as you say, there have been arrests. At times, there are statements coming out from the university and others saying a suspect is in custody. Then, only later to discover that actually that is not the suspect anymore. So, I think when you think about the ramifications of this story, there are a few elements. So, first off, I think there is a sense of mourning in the White House because Charlie Kirk is someone who the Trump family had a personal connection with. There's also the political ramification because Charlie Kirk represented a big part of the America First, MAGA, Make America Great Again movement. And he's also someone who would always go to these campuses and he had plenty of critics, but he would try and engage with people he disagreed with. So I think there's a real sense that the fact that he has ultimately lost his life while trying to engage is something that's really hitting hard in DC at the moment and across America. But then also, because we've heard lots about the suspect and currently there is no clarity there, a sense of slight lawlessness in terms of where this is going. And when you speak to figures in the administration, Republican Party, or just general figures in DC, they are predicting a rocky few days and weeks in terms of the impact this is going to have across the United States.
Are they talking about rallies in response? I mean, are they concerned about violence?
So we're not yet at the stage of people that are predicting riots or so forth, but I think that in terms of where this goes next, there's definitely a lot of anger. This has happened to someone who, for the MAGA movement, was trying to engage. There's also, it's a febrile time in terms of American politics. We've heard from Donald Trump tonight a slightly unifying message in some ways, but of course, where this debate goes next, as you can probably expect, the Democrats who have so far, in the whole, come out in support saying this is awful what's happened,
Mm.
to start talking about gun control. We know Charlie Kirk himself was not in support of gun
Yeah.
control, and it's unlikely the White House is going to lean into that.